Alright guys, so for the past couple of videos we've been talking about IP addresses and subnets, and right now we basically know that whenever we have a network, any device on our network, it needs to have its own IP address. And that's just essentially what it boils down to, is a unique identification number so we can identify and manage every device. Alright, so that's easy enough, but here's the thing. How did these numbers get assigned? I mean, I learned about subnets, and I know that we're only allowed a specific range of IP addresses, but I mean, how do we determine which IP address gets assigned to which computer? Well, we actually have a couple options of how we can do that. One, of course, is just to do it manually. So if we wanted to, whenever we're starting a network, we can actually sit down at every device, this laptop, and say, okay, whatever IP addresses I'm allowed, you can have this one, like 1.2.3.4. Alright, go to the next one. Alright, you can have 1.2.3.5. Alright, well, if I ever, sell this computer, then I have to say, okay, so free that IP address up and I can, use it somewhere else. Well, all that is going to take a long time, and of course, whenever we just, want to get on the internet at our house, most people, don't want to have to learn how to assign IP addresses to each device. So instead, what usually happens is all this is taken care of through a method called DHCP. You guys have to excuse my handwriting because I haven't used this tablet in, I don't know, a few weeks. And these things are actually really weird once you start using them after you haven't used them in a while. But nonetheless, alright. So DHCP, this stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. Now, long name, but it's actually really easy. All this protocol does is whenever you have a new device on your network or a device leaves, it assigns it, or what's the opposite of assign? Design? No, unassigns it an IP address. So basically all of this work that we would have to do manually, assigning an IP address manually, is taken care of automatically using DHCP. Now, just as a side note, you can actually have an entire server devoted to just this, but you really don't need that unless you have a huge, humongous network. Maybe if you had like a college or something that you would have a server just for DHCP. Most server operating systems have DHCP built in, so if you want to just enable it, then you can do that. However, just for a simple home network, DHCP is built into most routers, and usually users don't even have to worry about it because you plug in your router and it just works. But I'm going to be showing you guys in this example of how a home network communicates using DHCP and how it automatically gets an IP address. So what color am I going to use? How about this cool little red orange one? Alright, so here are my computers already at my house. These already have IP addresses already hooked up. However, I just got this computer at Best Buy. So I bring it home, I boot it up, turn it on, and right now my computer knows nothing about this network right here. It's a brand new computer, it doesn't know where the heck it is, it doesn't have any IP address assigned to it. So the very first thing that it's going to do is I'll write this down. So it's going to send out a broadcast packet, and it's called a DHCP discover message. Now, you know how I talked to you guys about the special broadcast address that's assigned whenever you have, your range of IP addresses that you're allowed to use? What this address essentially does is it takes a message and it sends it out to everyone it possibly can. Now, it only needs to talk to the router, but it doesn't know that yet. It, pretty much knows nothing about the network. So this discover message, it's pretty much the equivalent of your laptop shouting out, "Hey, someone, I'm here. I need an IP address. Someone please help me." So that's what it is. And for the source, it uses 0.0.0.0. So your default IP address before you have an actual one assigned is just 0000. That means whenever anyone gets this message and send it back, just broadcast it out, shout it out to anyone. So that's the return address. And the next thing that happens, let me pick a new color here. Alright. So whenever your router hears this, what it does is it sends back a DHCP offer. So it says, okay, I heard that someone said they need an IP address. What I'm going to do is this. I am going to look through all of the IP addresses that I have, and if I have one that's available, then I'm going to say, okay, here's an IP address that you can use, let me know if you want it. So that's what the offer message is. Basically, the router or whatever DHCP system you have is going to find an available IP address and it's going to send it back. And remember, your laptop, it doesn't have a valid IP address, so this is going to be sent over broadcast too. So right now, these computers are pretty much just shouting at each other back and forth. That's the, digital equivalent of it, but that's what's going on. So whenever the hardest part of this tutorial is actually just picking the colors I want to use. Alright, getting kind of sidetracked here. So your laptop receives an IP address, let's say 1.2.3.8. This one's available. Your laptop's going to look at it and it's going to send back, after it reviews it, something called a DHCP request message. So it looks at the available IP and it's pretty much saying, yeah, that looks good. Can I have it, please? Now the last part of this equation, and I'm kind of running out of space here, but once the router hears that, okay, the laptop looked at the IP, it said it was cool, it said, it wanted to use it, it's going to send back an ACK. So ACK. So the router is going to say, okay, sure, it's all yours, and also here's some other information that you can use too, and it sends it not only the IP, but also things like the subnet mask and how long the IP can actually be leased for, and the router's IP, and just a bunch of other information that it needs to be configured on the network. So the laptop receives it and configures it to connect to the network, and boom, you're good. But essentially all of this happens behind the scenes, and that's why whenever you just plug in your Wi-Fi router, you're usually good to go. So again, anytime you're at home and you connect a device to get on the internet, what's going to happen is it's first going to say, hey, anyone who's listening, I need an IP address, someone help me out. And your router is going to go, hey, I got this available one, let me know if you want it. And your laptop's going to go, yeah, that looks cool, I'll take that one. And then your Wi-Fi router goes, okay, here's all the information that you need to connect. And it also takes care of some other things, like whenever a device disconnects from the network, then it automatically frees up the IP so someone else can use it. But there you go. Now you guys know the basics of DHCP. Incredibly thrilling, I know. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. See you guys next time.